Have you ever looked at a building and thought, wow, that's not just a structure, it's a piece of art? Well, there's one building in the world that perfectly embodies that idea: the Sydney Opera House. Its gleaming white shells, rising against the backdrop of Sydney Harbour, are instantly recognizable. But behind this stunning facade is a story of incredible ambition, bitter controversy, and breathtaking genius. It's a drama as epic as any opera ever performed on its stages. So, how did this architectural marvel, a symbol of both Australia and human creativity, come to be? Let's dive into the turbulent and triumphant history of the Sydney Opera House. Our story begins in the 1950s. Post-war Australia was looking to define itself on the world stage, to shake off its reputation as a cultural backwater. The conductor of the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, Sir Eugene Goosens, was a vocal advocate for a new, world-class venue for large theatrical productions. The existing Sydney Town Hall just wasn't cutting it. The Premier of New South Wales, Joseph Cahill, championed the cause, and in 1956, he launched an international design competition for a new national opera house to be built on Bennelong Point, a stunning but challenging location. The competition attracted 233 entries from architects in 32 countries. The rules were broad, asking for a design with 2 performance halls, but the vision was grand. The judging panel included some of the most prominent architects of the time. As they sifted through the submissions, one design, entry number 218, was initially discarded. It was a series of rough but evocative sketches, more of a concept than a detailed blueprint. Legend has it that one of the judges, the renowned Finnish-American architect Eero Saarinen, arrived late to the judging process. He wasn't impressed with the shortlisted designs and pulled the rejected entry from the pile. He reportedly spread the sketches on the floor and declared, "Gentlemen, here is your opera house." The winning design was from a relatively unknown 38-year-old Danish architect named Jørn Utzon. Utzon's design was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It wasn't a boxy, conventional building. It was organic, sculptural, a series of interlocking concrete shells that seemed to float above the harbor like sails or seashells. It was radical, poetic, and utterly captivating. Utzon himself said his inspiration came from nature: the segments of an orange, the wings of a bird, and the sails of the yachts on Sydney Harbour. He had created not just a building, but a landmark. In January 1957, the announcement was made, and Australia, along with the rest of the world, got its first glimpse of the future of Sydney. With the design chosen, the monumental task of actually building it began. Construction was planned in 3 stages. Stage 1, the podium, started in 1959, even before the final designs were complete. This haste would prove to be a major problem. The initial budget was set at a modest 7 million Australian dollars with a completion date of 1963. Spoiler alert, they missed both of those targets by a lot. The engineering challenges were immense. The biggest question was, how do you actually build those incredible roof shells? Utzon's original sketches were beautiful, but they weren't geometrically defined. For years, engineers and architects struggled to find a way to translate his vision into buildable, structurally sound forms. The problem seemed impossible to solve. The team at the engineering firm Ove Arup and Partners spent years calculating the complex forces and stresses. It was Utzon himself who, after nearly 4 years of intense work, had a breakthrough. He realized that the complex free-form curves of the shells could all be derived from the surface of a single, imaginary sphere. This spherical solution was a moment of pure genius. It meant the curved roof panels could be mass-produced from precast concrete ribs, making construction feasible and economically viable. It was a game-changer. With the roof problem solved, construction of the iconic shells began. This was Stage 2. Massive, custom-built cranes were brought in to lift the heavy precast concrete segments into place. It was a slow, painstaking process. Watching the shells rise, piece by piece, was a spectacle for the people of Sydney. The building was literally taking shape before their eyes. To create the gleaming white surface, over 1 million custom-made, self-cleaning ceramic tiles were imported from Sweden. These tiles, with their unique chevron pattern and dual matte and gloss finish, are a huge part of what makes the Opera House so visually stunning, shimmering differently as the light changes throughout the day. But as the magnificent structure rose, so did the costs and the political tensions. The project was plagued by delays and budget blowouts. The original $7 million budget spiraled out of control. By 1965, a new, more conservative government was elected in New South Wales, and the Minister for Public Works, Davis Hughes, began to question every aspect of the project, especially its cost and Utzon's management. Hughes, a staunch pragmatist, clashed with Utzon, the uncompromising artist. The relationship between the architect and the government deteriorated rapidly. The government withheld payments to Utzon, effectively freezing him out of his own project. They demanded he compromise his vision for the interiors to cut costs. Utzon, a man of principle, believed any compromise would betray the integrity of his architectural masterpiece. In February 1966, after a heated and final confrontation with Davis Hughes, Jörn Utzon did the unthinkable. He resigned. He packed his bags, left Australia with his family, and vowed never to return. It was a devastating blow. The creative genius behind the project was gone, leaving his masterpiece unfinished. His departure caused a massive public outcry. Rallies were held, petitions were signed, and prominent Australian artists and architects protested. But the government held firm. They appointed a new team of local architects to complete Stage 3, the interiors. The new team, led by Peter Hall, faced an impossible task. They had to finish another architect's vision without his guidance. They made significant changes to Utzon's original interior designs. The main hall, originally intended for both opera and concerts, was changed to be a dedicated concert hall, while opera was moved to the smaller hall. These changes were controversial and have been a subject of debate for decades. Many felt that the soul of the building had been compromised. Finally, after 14 years of construction and at a final cost of 102 million Australian dollars, more than 14 times the original budget, the Sydney Opera House was officially opened by Queen Elizabeth II on October 20, 1973. It was a moment of immense national pride, though tinged with the sadness of Utzon's absence. His name was not even mentioned at the opening ceremony. The building, which had been a source of so much conflict, instantly became a beloved symbol. It hosted its first performance, a production of Prokofiev's War and Peace, and has been captivating audiences ever since. For decades, Jörn Utzon remained estranged from his creation. But as time passed, attitudes softened. In the late 1990s, the Sydney Opera House Trust reached out to Utzon, beginning a reconciliation. He was re-engaged as a design consultant for future changes, ensuring that any new work would be true to his original principles. Though he was too frail to travel back to Australia, he collaborated from his home in Denmark, overseeing the redesign of the reception hall, which was renamed the Utzon Room in his honor in 2004. It was the only interior space fully completed to his design. Jörn Utzon passed away in 2008, but his spirit and vision had finally been reunited with his masterpiece. In 2007, his creation was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized as a great architectural work of the 20th century and a masterpiece of human creative genius. Today, the Sydney Opera House is one of the busiest performing arts centers in the world, with over 2,000 performances a year, attended by more than 1.5 million people. It's more than just an opera house. It's a multi-venue center for music, theater, dance, and culture. It has become the definitive symbol of Sydney and Australia, a testament to the power of a bold vision. The story of its creation, the dream, the struggle, the controversy, and the ultimate triumph is as dramatic and inspiring as the building itself. It reminds us that the path to creating something truly timeless is rarely easy, but the result can change the face of a city and inspire the world. Thank you so much for watching. What's your favorite architectural marvel? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the stories behind our world as most iconic creations. See you next time.